From NBC News, this is Today.
We are back now at 7:42 with an explosive new lawsuit against one of the nation's largest banks. 6 current and former female employees claim that Citigroup used the recession to fire scores of women. We're going to talk exclusively to 4 of the women involved in that suit in just a moment. But first, their story. In the class action lawsuit, 5 former female employees, seen here on the cover of Forbes magazine, and 1 current employee, accuse Citigroup of using company-wide layoffs carried out during the recession to get rid of more women than men. Men, they say, who were less qualified than their female counterparts. The suit accuses Citigroup of being a boys' club where men dominate the senior ranks of management and executive positions. The female plaintiffs want damages for what they called the systematic and pervasive discrimination and retaliation women have suffered during their employment with the company.
What makes this case unusual is that these women are saying, yes, we recognize we were laid off as part of a broader layoff, but we believe that women were disproportionately the victims of that.
And there are also accusations of inappropriate and vulgar comments made in the workplace, including references to oral sex, and one of the women being asked, "You Jewish gals get hot for guys with beards, don't you?" In a statement, Citigroup denies the charges, saying the women were just 5 of approximately 70 men and women in the public finance department who were part of that reduction, and they were selected based on legitimate business reasons, not based on their gender, and were selected in the very late rounds of the reduction in force, having survived several earlier rounds of reductions throughout 2008. Many of their allegations are either totally inaccurate or selectively incomplete. The facts do not support their claims of gender discrimination.
As a legal matter, this would never be an easy case to win because it was part of a broader layoff. And so now these women are really going to have to come forward with hard evidence, emails, eyewitnesses that prove their case.
4 of the 6 women involved in the lawsuit are with us exclusively. Dorley Hazan Amir, Brittany Sharpton, Chia Sue, and Lisa Conley. Douglas Wigdor is their attorney. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
I want to reiterate that there are 2 other women involved in this lawsuit, and they are not with us today because of scheduling conflicts, but they're here in spirit. They agree with everything that we're about to discuss. So if I can start first with Lisa, Brittany, and Chia. You all were terminated. It was November of 2008, November 21st. Why did you decide to join this lawsuit now, 2 years later?
Well, we started the process soon after that.
So it's taken that long to get to this point?
Right. And the reason that I'm participating in the lawsuit is that Citigroup had lip service to inclusion of women in the workplace, and then in one fell swoop in 2008 they took out 4 out of the 5 female directors in the department, eliminating a whole generation of future management.
Brittany, you were convinced that the only reason you were terminated was because you're a woman.
Absolutely. I think what they did is disgusting, and I felt disrespected and hurt. And I just want to bring awareness to the open secret that female professionals are disproportionately treated unfairly and have no chance for advancement, especially at Wall Street and at Citigroup.
And Chia, what did they say to you when they let you go?
They told me they no longer need me, but 2 weeks prior to the layoff, they actually confirmed that my position was safe and that my promotion is still going to happen.
And then 2 weeks later, they tell you you're not going to work there anymore. And Douglas, you heard during the piece that Dan Abrams, was a legal analyst for us, said this is going to be a tough case to prove. You're charging the company with recessionary discrimination, essentially. They used it as a cover-up almost to get rid of these women. But they were part of a bigger layoff, and that's the problem. Do you have specific proof that they were laid off solely because of their gender?
We do. What we're going to do in this class action complaint is expose that Citigroup has used the sluggish economy as a cover-up to actually discriminate against women. Each one of the women that we represent who was laid off back in November of 2008 were eminently more qualified than their male counterparts. In fact, one of the women who is part of the lawsuit received much higher bonuses because her productivity was much higher than the man that they kept. One of the former managers has already supplied us with an affidavit who will testify that each one of the women in his group who was chosen for layoff actually was more qualified than the man that remains at Citigroup to this day.
Darla, you are still at Citigroup. You're part of this lawsuit because you feel you were unfairly demoted when you returned from maternity leave in January. How are you functioning there?
Well, to be honest, I'm just glad in this economy. I'm grateful that I still have a job. But I'm an associate in the asset finance group at Citigroup. I've been there for 4 years, and this is a group that has a very long history of discriminating against its female employees. This is a group that treats its female employees as second-class citizens. There's a very long history of discrimination, both in terms of compensation and in promotions, and it all came to a head for me personally almost a year ago when I returned from maternity leave and was suddenly told that my skill set all of a sudden is not appropriate for transactors, and I was demoted to a less prestigious and less lucrative position.
But aren't you worried? You said you're still glad to have a job in this economy, that you're putting your job at risk by being here.
But really, it's very important to bring it all out, because this is a group, the asset finance group, which has been acting in a despicable manner, and it's been discriminating against its female employees for so long that it's really time for someone to step up and do something about it. And really, so many of the women who have been part of this discrimination, who have suffered, are very glad that I'm coming out and speaking. And many have called me and told me that since the day that they've left Citigroup, they've regretted the fact that they stayed silent and didn't fight, and thank goodness that I'm coming along and fighting against it. So while it is a very difficult position to still be at the group, and while this lawsuit is going on, it's very important to stand up and fight for myself and for all the other women who have been a part of this discrimination.
And we have literally no time left, but in 2 seconds, is this money that you're looking for essentially from this suit?
Well, no amount of money actually is going to make them whole. And they've gone through great suffering. But what we're going to do is we're going to warn the public, which we're doing now, and we hope to put other companies on notice and correct the wrongs that they've done.
All right. Thank you all for joining us. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Meredith.
Thank you.
Just ahead, we are going to definitely lighten things up a bit with